Hey guys, it's your girl Eonnie Dear here, and today I'm going to be doing a simple base foundation tutorial for you guys. So we're just going to start out with concealer. I use the Born This Way and the LA Pro. Now usually I would say to always use one concealer that's like one shade lighter than your skin tone, and another concealer that is the shade of your skin tone, and I'm going to show you why right now. So I usually use the lighter skin tone concealer first, and I go underneath my eyes where there's a little redness, and then I go underneath my nose where obviously I'm just covering red spots, but also with the lighter shade you can also highlight. As you can see, that's what I'm doing here. I go on my chin, the bridge of my nose, and a little on my forehead. So those are where I highlight. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you just want to solely do under your eye and your red spots or dark spots, that's fine also. So now I'm taking the same shade as my foundation and I place it around my previous concealer. Now this is to just ensure that everything blends in correctly, and you know, I'm not sitting here looking a goddamn mess. So here we go. I'm just going underneath my eyes. You do not have to put on as much as I do, but you know what? It is what it is. Here I'm just letting the concealer sit on my face for just a little while, and then I go in and blend it out. I use a tapered brush because it gets easily into the corners on my nose and the corners in between my eyes. So it's easier to use this brush than usually a normal foundation brush. So that's why I like to use it. As you can see, I'm just gently tapping in my concealer. I don't usually buff in my concealer or my foundations. I like to tap it in to make sure that I'm getting the best coverage. So here I go. I'm just going all around my cheeks, onto my nose, and you see how that brush just gets in all those corners easily. Now, if you want to, you could just use concealer as your foundation. I'm not gonna do that because I did put a lot of the lighter shade, so I want to make sure everything's balanced out with my foundation shade. So here that is, even though it does look seamless, if you do this, I would just recommend just using less lighter concealer and just using more of the same shade as your foundation color. Now as I'm going into my foundation, I use the Ordinary foundation. It's like about maybe I think $6 to $8. I'm not really sure if it's changed, but when I got it, it was $6. I use 1 to 2 pumps. Here I'm just using 1 pump, and I'm taking the flat brush and going all over my face, using the same tapping motion to make sure I get the best coverage. Now I'm just gonna go over all of this to ensure that everything is blended out and evenly distributed all over my face. I use a damp makeup wedge. It's just like a makeup sponge, but you can just get this you can get a makeup sponge or a makeup wedge at your local pharmacy, your local drugstore. I use the wedges because they're disposable. I use them maybe about 2-3 times and I get rid of it. I don't really like to keep washing and washing over my sponge, but that's up to you. It's your preference. Now also, I am just lightly tapping the sponge all over my face so it can pick up any excess makeup and also blend in my foundation and concealer. Now I'm going to do my contour. Now I usually use a darker shade than my skin tone. I use the two darker shades on the palette. You can either use an angled fluffy brush or a rounded fluffy brush. I just use the rounded because I like to use the angled for my blush, which you will see in a second. So now I just take the two darkest colors. I like those two. If I don't want to go too dark, I use the middle two. Make sure to shake the excess off if you want to. If you don't want to shake it off, you can like lightly tap it on your hand and that will take off most of the initial product. So now I'm just going under my cheekbone, right underneath where my cheekbone is. I go underneath it and I sculpt, going up into my temple and under my jawline. And I do the same thing on the next side. Now I also do the bridge of my nose. So I press my brush together. You can use an actual like smaller brush for this, but I just use the same brush. I go in, I put 2 lines and then I just blend it out real easy. And I put a little bit on the inner corners of my eyelids just so it could blend. Now we're gonna apply the blush. Like I said, I'm gonna use a fluffy angled brush. I'm using an eyeshadow palette because I can do that and you can do that. You can do whatever you want. And as you can see, I just lightly tapped it on my hand just so that when I put the blush on my face, it's not as harsh. So here I go above the contour on my cheek and I just blend it in from my temple and all over to get a flush look. I like to go over my nose. You don't have to do that. I just like doing that. But yeah, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I just like a lot of blush. Also, I would like to put a little bit on in the outer corners of my eyes just so that everything blends together and it doesn't look weird. Now I hope you like it. I just put on a little mascara and a little lip gloss and that is it, guys. I hope you like my video and I hope to see you next time. Love you. Bye bye. Mwah, mwah.